Hello, guys, and welcome to Air Tycoon Online 3, Episode 30. Damn, we're on Episode 30. But, anyways, last episode ended in a pretty abrupt fashion. I'm sorry about that. My voiceover ran out sooner than I thought. But, what I was basically explaining is that in that new world, I want a super hub. So, I want to do something like I've done with London in this world and take London to everything and do that before moving on to the next hub and have a high name value in all of my hubs in order to maximize efficiency. And I think that should work because I've observed that working with some other people in that server. So with that out of the way, basically, as you see, this world is really struggling. Um, but I'm not really too caring of this world state right now because look at those investment costs. Look at them. They're so high. But anyways, besides that, I don't have much to do in this world. So I just really want to talk, basically. And I'm recording this on my Android phone. You guys can see this is probably an Android layout. You see this thing, this means I'm on my Android phone, guys. And I'm so happy to be back because it's so easy, I almost feel bad. Like, this video, episode 30, is probably going to make it to YouTube before freaking episode 29. And the reason for that is in episode 29, I recorded that on my iPhone. Big mistake. Big mistake, right? So I finally finished that voiceover in iMovie, and it's time to upload. So I click that upload button, and boom, your YouTube video cannot be more than 15 minutes long. Holy shit, I got past that freaking barrier, like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years ago, and I could upload longer videos. And for some reason, iMovie has never been updated to allow people to try and upload videos more than 15 minutes long. Holy crap. Okay. So I understand your Apple, Google's or Google and YouTube are Google apps, so it doesn't work. Okay. Not bad. So let me just export this iMovie video so I can then upload it to Google Drive, and then from my Google Drive I can upload it to YouTube. Sounds good, right? Big freaking mistake. So on an Android device, whoa, when you do something such as export a movie or what else do you could export a movie or upload a YouTube video or something like that, where it has like a big loading bar, it takes a long time, and you want to do something else. What you can do is you can just start the export or start the upload, navigate to whatever app on your phone you want, keep doing stuff, and you can check on its progress from the pull down tab here. Now I'm not going to pull this down because I'm going to reveal some information I don't really want to, but yeah, you can pull down that tab and you can check on the progress of how things are doing and stuff whilst not interrupting whatever you're doing on your screen. It's very freaking nice. Meanwhile, on my primitive ass iPhone, which if you watched my last video, you know I hate this thing's freaking guts and I hate iOS. Like, it says exporting movie and I can't do anything else or it's gonna stop. All I can do is stare at this loading bar, and this is an iPhone 6s, so it's not particularly fast loading bar, slowly go up as the iPhone does what it needs to do. Can't do anything else on my phone. It just sits there draining battery at a ridiculously fast rate. But I mentioned that, by the way, my Android phone almost literally lasts twice as long. I charged these phones both for the same amount of time. They are both at zero, almost dead. I charged them both. Um, yes, I have been using my iPhone for slightly longer, but my iPhone is at 50%, my Android phone is at 90%. I mean, like, if that's not symbolic of the slow ass charge speed, I'm charging my iPhone on an iPad charger, by the way. So I'm not trying to use that retarded ass iPhone charger to charge this phone in like 4 hours or something. I'm charging on an iPad charger. I'm charging my iPhone, and it managed to reach like 70% or something, and it dies in about 4 hours of screen on. Whereas this phone will easily last. This Android phone I'm on recording on right now will easily last 6 hours. I can usually get an hour out of the last 15% on this phone, which I find ridiculous. Like once the power save mode turns on, performance, yeah, it is slightly hindered. Um, but like, Jesus Christ. I can take a slightly worse performance for a far more beautiful screen and an experience which doesn't make me want to stab myself. Which, by the way, this world almost makes me want to do with its terrible fuel price, its terrible World Traveler Index, and unbelievably unfair competition. like unbelievably. I know it's within the game to do what they're doing, but it's just not fun. Like, what are my competition routes like? Uh, 750. That's not as much as I thought. If you remember last episode, I had 500 something competition routes. So since the last episode, I've like gone up more than 150 competition routes. I mean, that's like I have more competition routes than most players have routes, and I deliberately choose these routes to not be overlapped. Who the frick wants to overlap Matupo to London with a 747? Who the hell wants to overlap freaking like what? Let me find another one which nobody wants should want to overlap. Like, well, some of these are actually pretty good routes right here. But like, I'm in a 747 section, so of course the routes should inherently be pretty decent. But like, I'm being overlapped on Perth to Beijing and Brisbane to Beijing, and I'm being overlapped on like Beijing to Sofia, and like the kind of routes that are surviving are literally cities you've never heard of. Like, people are competing with routes like fucking Guangzhou to Vancouver. Like, Jesus Christ, Natty to Beijing, that's competition apparently. And like, these aren't even the most extreme routes where I have competition. Like, you'd expect the vast majority of these kind of routes to remain monopolies, but like Albuquerque to Beijing, apparently there's a need to make that a competition route. There's a need to make freaking Nanjing to Frankfurt a competition route. Nanjing's actually not bad either, but like, Jesus Christ. Um, yeah, that's basically what I'm trying to avoid in my new world where I invest into services earlier on, so I'm not so vulnerable to all this competition. Oh, it's a shame that I wasn't aware about the workings of this, because I do like this world, but the competition combined with the World Traveler Index being lower than a world which is in 1970 right now is kind of ridiculous. Now, on another note, I think it's these planes are almost overdue, right? They're about to need a replacement. I can see that. Um, some of these planes are getting old. Like, how old are these DC-8 62s now? Geez, I'm gonna need to literally turn down my costs just so I have the money to replace some of these aircraft. I can't let them just expire. Um, they'll be even more expensive than what's going on now. But yeah, hopefully though, I do manage to find a way to transfer my New Year Tycoon online account to an Android device, so I don't want to kill myself when I want to both record and play. Um, because I do enjoy recording and I do enjoy playing, and putting those two things together is pretty happy combo. So yeah, I know this episode's ranty and I'm not actually doing anything. I'm just scrolling around a stupid ass map looking. You know what I will do? Um, let's go analyze the number one player. I haven't done that in a while. Um, One thing I like to do is I just like to use credits to spy on other people. Probably spend like 15, 20 credits, an amount which nobody should ever use to spy on other people. But it's just so fun because you get to see what's going on in their company. So this guy's net profit has not gone up since I last checked, which is pretty nice. I checked on the same turn. I checked on May, and it is once again May. And his profit's actually not as high as I thought because, when you do spend as much as you do trying to overlap a player, that's me, it does inevitably harm yourself a little bit too. Um, at the same time, this is a downtick. At the same time, he just filled up his fuel tanks, and if it weren't for his fuel tanks, he would be making sub 1 billion a turn. So it's actually not great. But if you do look at these guys' routes, they have a lot of competition routes, but the competition routes actually make money because they have higher service satisfaction. Like, um, wait, is this me or is this him? Yeah, this is him. Okay. Yeah, I don't have routes making 7K. What the fuck am I smoking? But yeah, like as you can see, even quite far down the list, competition 747s are still making money. A lot of these are leased, by the way. So, like, that's truly not bad. And then, of course, he has even more monopolies. Like, he's more monopolies than competition, which is always a good thing. You never want to have the opposite of that true. And as you guys can see, these routes are doing fine too. And actually, a lot of them are stopovers, which is why the profit doesn't look great, but it actually is great because you really have to be like thinking of like in this route, range, for example, you see these 747s, you really got to be doubling these numbers to think about how much those planes are actually making. So, anyways, with all that really annoying stuff out of the way, I'm basically at this point borderline giving up on this world. I know it's not even close to. I could probably even, if I tried hard enough, catch up to the number one player. Even while maintaining my normal strategy where I avoid competition, what I'd have to do is I'd have to keep finding new hubs and using small aircraft to replace my competition routes, and then move to new hubs with larger aircraft and just try and take those over and just keep moving the company away from their competition, because at some point they're gonna think the routes are too small to be bothered to like compete with. Like if I start to take routes like Charlotte to, wow, that's these are surprising routes to still be available at this time in the game, but like I could start taking routes like these with stopovers and they wouldn't even be like close to full even on monopolies, but like, there's enough of those routes available so that I can make them and make a profit and avoid their competition strategically, but it takes too much work. I mean, if they're overlapping 100 like routes in a night, if they feel like it, right? If they have time, they can overlap 100 of my monopoly routes in a night and turn them into competition where they make more than me. I just can't keep running from it. Basically, it'll take too much time out of every day for that to be possible. Like instead, like for example, let me show you guys some reports, but over one night, my profit will drop 400K if I don't change the company. Um, See, the last downtick was negative 700K. Okay, the next downtick where I didn't touch anything in between was negative 1.2 billion, and the difference was about 150 new competition routes. Um, So yeah, the upturns are still about the same. And since then, I've been diligently buying fuel in all these turns to prevent the crashes from looking as bad. And I've further reduced my prices for a lot of those new competition routes. And it's gotten better since, I did something. But it's a bit too much for me to be bothered with fixing. But what I might still do is I might bother to log on. For every time I record an Air Tycoon episode, I might log onto this account and just buy new aircraft so the account doesn't crash into the ground. Um, Hopefully, auto replace works, so all these planes will be placed onto their new routes automatically, and I don't have to think about it. And this company will literally, I just have to once these service satisfaction levels and um, name value levels are actually high, like 70 around for name value, 70 or 80 for name value, and about probably I don't know how fast or how high customer service goes because I've never invested it before. So when I feel like I start having higher satisfaction than the competitors do, then I can turn this down and start making money again. But for now, there's nothing for me to do in this. But anyways, this has been long-winded without doing much. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.